Hi, everybody. I say everybody. Welcome, Tim. Lovely to have you here. Really glad you could join us. This is a really important webinar that we do with Tempdent because the recruitment and the training um, is just constant. It should be a constant job. It's not something we do when we're in need. For me, it's something that we should be doing all the time and planning our staffing structure. So, Jazz, welcome to another ADAM webinar in conversation. So happy to have you here. We've had a really good relationship for long. So,
Yeah.
uh, apprentice, what you can have, which so to and welcome. Not able to join us, watching this. Would you do me the honour of introducing yourself?
Yes, of course. Sorry, I don't know if it was my internet. It was just lagging a little bit, but I think I totally got what you're saying. So, yeah, absolutely. So, I'm Jazz Dhillon, Head of Business Development for Tempdent. And what do? I support the information, the advice, and the guidance to employers, to employer partners on all things that they can access in terms of training and apprenticeships. And I have we have a big team, to be fair, a big business development team here at Tempdent now, which has grown over time, that allow them to be more focused for their regions. So you will have a regional manager from Tempdent that looks after all the Southwest employers, and a regional manager who looks after the London employers, and so forth around the UK. And the reason why we have done that is to make sure that we are advising our employers on all the key things, all the regional priorities that they have, and aligning them to the courses that we have. I've been in apprenticeships for around 18 years, so quite some while. And prior to that, a maths teacher. So I'm never going to come out of apprenticeships. Here I am. But I work for Tempdent. Okay. And Tempdent, for those of you who don't know us, have been here for now 30 years. We're actually celebrating our 30th year. And I think some of the key highlights for us is that, we do nothing else except dental. So everything that we do is dental focused. We work with our partners, we work with deaneries, we work with NHS trusts, we work with employers, that's small, medium, and large, to build our programs. So we've been doing this now for 30 years, so quite some while. And we've recently had an Ofsted. I'm not allowed to say what it is, but it did go very well. So we do remain number one for success rates and retention in the country for our programs. So I'm just so thankful for ADAM to have us on. We have been in a wonderful partnership with ADAM, and we would love to continue supporting any webinars or sessions that you guys feel you need to further educate you on things you can access. Yeah.
Thanks, Jazz. I mean, it's a partnership that does really align. As I mentioned before, recruitment for many practices is a bit of a nightmare.
Yes.
I know what we have to do is, we've got recruitment, we've got retaining, and part of the retaining of our good teams are nourishing our team, making them see where they are within the business and how valued they are. And part of that does come from further training with
Yes.
apprenticeships, doesn't it? And
It
that
does.
support during that time is absolutely vital to get them through it. And not all apprenticeship providers are the same. They're not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of you guys, is that you do actually really care and you want it to succeed. So your team put
Yeah.
extra efforts in with
Yeah.
the apprentices. And it's almost like a weird little matchmaking element to it as well, where you
It
get to
is.
know the practices and know what they
Yes.
want and what person may suit them. And that's like a different element altogether, which contributes to the success of it. I myself, we've got 4 apprentices at the moment, who are absolutely brilliant, flying, smashing it. Um, and what they can bring to the practices is brilliant, particularly in larger teams as well as smaller teams. But I mean, the reason we chose it is because, we are on our practice, we're very good at retaining staff. But what we actually get is we've got about 12 people that are all at that age where they're getting married and having babies.
Oh, yes,
I know
yes.
it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But and they come back part-time and they've already progressed to where they want to progress. And there's a time in practices, and practice managers need to sit down and go, what type of person do I need to add to my team? And I just think apprentices can bring so much to the team.
They do. They really do. So, Lisa, we are and have always been massive advocates for that level 3 program. It was the first apprenticeship we ever brought in, that level 3 dental nurse. And we work with, like, as I said, small, medium enterprises having that same need as a very large corporate that we would also work with. They all have the same need. We all need a dental nurse. And the beauty of how Tempdent run the whole talent search part of things is it's extremely cost effective because practices do not need to put an advert out for Indeed. Believe you me when I say this, Tempdent have a talent pool currently sitting between 500 to 600 candidates who are absolutely keen to work with Tempdent. They really want to start working as a dental nurse. So we are so blessed in that way. We have so many wonderful candidates. And that talent search part of it is led by our recruitment team. And they are, and like, Tempdent, we don't have a staff turnover at all, I'll be honest. So you'll probably, if anybody has worked with Tempdent before, you'll probably find the same recruiter that you worked with 8 years ago, because he's still here as well. And the thing is, they've built such wonderful relationships with their talent that actually they have those early insights. Not with all of them, because some of them are new coming in, but with a lot of them, they have those relationships. So what we're able to do is, as we learn about our employers more, we're able to provide what you've just said there, Lisa, that matching service to fit in line with what needs you want. And they do go that extra mile to make sure that they've got all the right information, advice, and guidance that they need to start the program. But the beauty is we don't just have them start with you and leave them there and wait till they start an apprenticeship. Okay. What Tempdent offer is a foundation induction program. Now, this allows that brand new trainee, bear in mind, who hasn't got any experience in dental nurse, he or she is coming in and finding their feet. It just allows them to become embedded within that practice, to understand the culture, the values of your business, of your practice. It gets them to understand the role of a dental nurse before they have the flaffle of trying to understand the apprenticeship and everything else. It's getting them to fall in love with what dental nursing is all about. Okay. So a lot of the time we have trainees that come in for at least sort of like 4 weeks, maybe up to 8 weeks, just finding their feet. The foundation induction program is our induction program to support this learner with the induction you provide, but also to give them that understanding of what the platforms are going to look like when they eventually start that apprenticeship with us, and also getting them to think about GDC, CQC compliances, getting them to think like a dental nurse. So we do this foundation induction program, which has been so beneficial to our practices. So the first thing they say is, oh, this has been great. I've really got to see if it's going to work for us. And then your trainee will start on that apprenticeship program. And again, this is a very unique thing that Tempdent do. And this is what has really driven our retention rates to where they are, to be fair, Lisa. So that's why we are sort of very high with retention, because we try to make sure that that early match and find process is done correctly. Because, of course, if in that early 8 weeks you quickly realise that actually this person isn't, going to cut it out as a dental nurse, you've already trialed and tested it with them, not for a day trial, not for an hour trial. You've actually spent time with them. They've had time to see whether it's for them. At that point, if anybody's going to leave, it would have been them. So you end up having, this person coming on. So I think it works very, very well. But I can talk about the journey of a dental nurse, if you like, Lisa, just taking it through.
I think, the start of where they start is really important, but we have to make sure we're mapping out what their future looks like as well.
Yeah, exactly that, because that learning journey is critical, because this apprentice is on a program for 15 months of teaching and learning, and then they sit that 3 months endpoint assessment. So in total, 18 months they're going to be on this program. And it's about how we, Tempdent, as your training provider, are going to motivate, encourage, support, and get this dental nurse through that program so that you have your qualified dental nurse at the end of all the hard work that you've put in as practice managers, supporting and mentoring. And sometimes it's a very quiet praise that mentors receive actually in the workplace. And for us here at Tempdent, mentors are everything. We are so complimentary of all the support that you give to our apprentices to get them to where they are. But when they start the official apprenticeship, Tempdent have multiple webinars, that's workshops that these apprentices can attend. So I'll give you an example. For the dental nurse level 3, every other week they do a workshop online for an hour. Okay, it's an hour and a half actually. Now the workshops, we actually run 3 sessions every day for the whole week, except for Friday, that's 2, with the same content. And the reason we do that is so that our learners never miss a single day of learning. Okay, so we're very sharp with that. We want to make sure that the learner has the best experience, because we know how busy practices can get. You might not be able to give the learner the workshop time and day as you thought you might for that one occasion, because you've got sickness that you've got to manage. And we all know that happens a lot, right? We're managing so many different things. That apprentice will be able to change the workshop date. Okay, on the portal, they can change the date. And that just means they're not behind on anything. So we keep them all paring one another. They have a tutor and they have an assessor. So whilst we are online, we are actually blended learning, because we have an assessor that comes out to do those observations 3 times within that whole apprenticeship. And they're, of course, having the online workshops with us. But the beauty is our tutors, and this is unheard of in industry, and I know it was something that Ofsted picked up on not so long ago as well, is the fact that actually in industry it's very common for tutors to have apprentices up to 70 students in the caseload. Well, Tempdent actually have a caseload of 30 per tutor. Okay, so it's a very, very low tutor caseload that we have. And the reason is, again, is we want every single learner to pass timely. We want them to complete the apprenticeship and be enthused about becoming that dental nurse. So that's how we inspire our learners. We keep those workshops running frequently so that they never miss a single day of learning. We make sure they've got ample support coming through from the tutor and the assessor, so they're supported in both sides of that. And then, of course, as they come through to GDC registration, they begin their whole lifelong learning journey, really, because it goes on after that. Just because you are now a level 3 dental nurse doesn't mean it stops there. You've got post-registration courses to bring in those more enhanced skills, and there are other apprenticeships as well. So a lot to take in there, I think. But yeah.
No, I think it's great. I do hear more and more practices now that are really excited about taking on apprentices. And there's lots of reasons behind why you should. But we can't run away from the practice management business side of it. It's it's a very good cost-effective way to manage your team. And yeah, the money's important. We've all got turnovers, we've all got overheads, but what we're getting is a person that is committed to learning, which is in turn committed to your practice, and taking away the risk of, is this person going to work out and not, by having someone that's actually there to nurture that relationship between the apprentice and the practice. It does make, I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now. It does make a massive difference. You help them to help the apprentice as well. And we said before, didn't we, when we were talking about, think of it like, it's a village bringing up children. And it isn't just a responsibility of the practice manager, it's the responsibility of the whole team. Can get involved in this, and there can be little perks and learning opportunities and responsibilities for those that are helping within the practice to teach the apprentice and get the apprentice where they want them to be.
Mm.
I'm guessing you're finding that there are more and more that are choosing apprentices now.
Oh, 100%. So for us, I mean, we have employers, small, medium enterprises groups, and the large corporates. And I will say that they all have those cost-effective solutions, but all have their reasons why, right? They take on an apprentice. Much of the time, it's to do with retention and growing their own and succession planning. But actually, there is a cost-effective solution on the finances side of things, for small businesses in particular as well, because anybody who is aged under 25 that is on an apprenticeship, whether they are already employed wanting to upskill onto an apprenticeship or whether they are new coming in, anyone under 25, you are not paying national insurance contributions for. So it's a huge saving on their salary. And furthermore, you are getting apprenticeship funding. So if they're 16 to 21, that's 100% funding for you. Okay, so you're not paying anything for their course. You're also getting 15% off their national insurance. And anyone under 21, by the way, also, of course, it's another 3% savings on the pension costs because you're not paying that either. When you look at it, it's providing a solution with no additional cost. And of course, you've got the apprenticeship salary, which is lesser than the national wage for age, though a lot of employers do pay over that now, to be fair. It just seems like the right thing and the only way to bring a trainee in. And that's why a lot of employers now have been slowly moving away from the national diploma route and going down the apprenticeship route because it's cost effective. What I will say is in August 2026, it has just been confirmed that the age group, which is 16 to 21 at the moment, will actually be 16 to 24. They will be 100% funded. Anybody over that age, by the way, doesn't mean that they're not getting any funding. They get 95% funding, and they also get all the same sort of, the NIC contributions and everything, the exemptions. They can still enjoy the exemption side of things. But the 5% payment is made by the employer. It can never be made by the learner. So just to give you an idea of what that cost would be for the level 3 dental nurse apprenticeship, that cost is £400 plus VAT. And that is all managed off an apprenticeship account service that you would have to create. And that apprenticeship account service is where you would manage the funding for the practice. And it's a wonderful tool for you to be able to see where your apprentice is in terms of the start of the program, where your other trainees are, that type of thing. And honestly, it takes all but 2 minutes to set up as well. And then you have a nice little portal there. But that's sort of the financial side of things. But of course, if we look at what our apprentices have been doing in the company, they're doing everything that a dental nurse is doing by month 6. That's a huge investment. Furthermore, these dental nurses, as they come in, they are future-proofing your business. They are the ones that are going to be there sort of carrying on through if a dental nurse is leaving or another dental nurse is going off on maternity or another dental nurse is going on paternity or whatever it is. These are the guys that are slowly growing into those roles. And that is where that's what you would say is future-proofing your business and that succession talent planning. But bear in mind as well, when you look at the cost-effective side of apprenticeships, is you've got this new apprenticeship, the oral health practitioner apprenticeship, which has been out with Tempdent for the last year, which has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, actually more than a year now. The oral health practitioner apprenticeship is going to allow your dental nurses to get progression as well. So whilst they're a dental nurse, to retain that dental nurse and to continuously feed their appetite for new knowledge and growth, you've got the oral health practitioner, and that is an apprenticeship where they can work inside a patient's mouth. It's going to teach them how to do that. So your dental nurse not only will be able to carry out the dental nurse duties and everything else, they're going to actually be able to take some weight away from the dentist. And they're going to be able to do things like plaque indices and taking impressions, photography, fluoride varnish. They'll be able to do medical screening checks. They can do blood pressure checks, go out in the community, refer back patients, a whole host of other duties, all within that apprenticeship. And that, again, itself has a massive return on investment for employers because you're able to see more patients at any one time. If you are at NHS practice, you can also use the work they do as part of the flexible commissioning that you're claiming. And on top of that, they can refer back patients to your practice because they're working outside in the community. And again, if they're aged 25 and under 25, you're not paying an IC for them. So you're not paying the national insurance contribution. And of course, if they are 16 to 21 and in August 16 to 24, they would get 100% funding. There are some levy transfer options available. So for where a student needs to have that 5% covered because of their age, if you speak to someone at Tempdent, they might be able to see if we can actually cover that cost with a levy donor. So we do a lot of work with levy donors. These are companies that have an apprenticeship levy that they're unable to spend, and they send it through to Tempdent to say, well, look, we love the work that you're doing with the practices. Please, can you spend this amount because we've got this left, because they've got to spend it or lose it. I've waffled on there, Lisa, but hopefully that got
no. It's fantastic, yeah, and particularly with the oral health practitioner apprenticeship, that I know we're talking in practices a lot at the moment about the NHS practices. We are talking about the reform, the new contract, what's going to happen, and of course we're not completely in the light about what's going to happen and what that's going to look like. Hopefully after next week we might get a couple of weeks notice on it, you never know. But one thing's for sure, it's about being diverse in our practices. It's the only way that we can kind of work with these potential new changes successfully. It's a skill that we can bring in to help, as you say, contractually, that can contribute to your targets and what you're getting paid for doing those services with your oral health practitioner nurse. So it's great. And, we don't know what that's going to look like at the moment, but, get some nurses on it. I've got one of my nurses on it at the moment. And we don't know what that's going to look like, but we know we'll use it in some way. And she's absolutely loving it. She's annoyed me because she keeps coming back to me asking if we can get some branded leaflets. I'm like, add it to my list. But I love it. The fact she's come, gone, I think we need to do some more leaflets for these patients in these age areas. And do you know what? I love it. It just enriches their job.
It does.
And makes them want to stay. And it's whether you don't have to be NHS, just doing it anyway is just a really, really good thing to do.
So. Definitely.
Even if it's just enriching your staff. But yeah, I thought your point before was people and practices sometimes think of apprentices as 16, 17-year-olds. And if your practice is a type that feels that they would like somebody that's got a little bit more life experience, that's why it is for everyone. And you can find people that will fit that practice. And it might not be someone that's a lot younger. It might be someone that is that little bit older. Can you think off the top of your head what your oldest apprentice might have been?
It might shock you, actually. Our oldest apprentice, she was 60. She was just turned 60. And it was, and she was a dental receptionist, and she said, it's never too late. I want to learn. She'd been a dental practice manager, actually, for a very long time. I can't remember. She was like saying 20-something years. But whilst she was a dental practice manager, she did not have the exposures to actually what a dental practice manager did. I know it sounds odd, but she mostly did the receptionist side of things and supporting sort of the dentist and the rotas and things like that. And what we did is we put her on the dental practice manager apprenticeship to expose her to the roles and responsibilities that she hasn't been exposed to yet. That was finance, HR, recruitment, selection, marketing. It was like the whole institute leadership and management qualification that we've got within that one as well. And it was getting her to think about, conflict and working with people and management. And she said, when she was halfway through that program, she said, she couldn't remember how to do assignments, but she did it. But she said that the support she had was really helpful to be able to get onto it. But yes, you're right. They can be any age. It's the full funding is available to anybody under 21 at the moment. And of course, 95% funding is available to anybody for any age group on any apprenticeship with some financial support if you need it. Just reach out to Tempdent and we'll see what we can do to support you. But these apprenticeships, the main ones that Tempdent do being the oral health practitioner, dental nurse, and the dental practice manager. It's for all ages. It's for everybody to get involved in, as are our post-registration courses, of course. But yeah, absolutely. It benefits everybody, doesn't it?
It does. And if we did a survey not long back, and what is most important to people in our team, yes, we're not all going to say money isn't important. We all don't do it for the good of our health completely. But it's the feeling like you're contributing to the practice and looking at where your future lies. If you're going in, you may as well, let's face it, you may as well go and work in a factory and do a very repetitive job, and it's probably a lot easier than working in a dental practice. So having that feeling of actually really doing a good job, and look at the patients are happy and all of that, it's the enrichment. It's definitely the enrichment. And making sure that people can not just work for you, but actually be part of it. It isn't a clock in, clock off job. If you want a clock in, clock off job, you're going to end up with that type of person. And actually, if you just give them a little bit, like some of these courses and responsibilities, it does make like the world of difference to them. Just what other would you recommend practice manager courses? I know that's going to be finishing a little bit later this year.
Yes. So yeah, I'm sorry to announce this, but it is true. What you say is true, Lisa. It's sad. The dental practice manager apprenticeship currently led in at level 4. That's been delivered by Tempdent for God knows how long now. Well, it's our 23rd cohort, so probably quite some years. I can't quite put a finger on how long it's been. It's been a long time. The government has decided to retire the apprenticeship standard. And what that means is that out of all the apprenticeship standards that exist, even outside of dentistry, and the dental world, you're talking about 800 and something standards that exist for apprenticeships. It's a crazy amount. So the government needs to whittle down and look at sort of, what things need to be streamlined, which things can be merged, which things need to be separated, and which things need to go. And sadly, for dental practice manager, despite all the disputes that the training providers put in and our employers of all sizes, they have still decided to retire that. So the last cohort to be delivered for dental practice manager will be this April with Tempdent. Again, if the person interested to do this course is over the age of 22 and they require some support financially, just get in touch with one of my team here at Tempdent, with myself, in fact, at Tempdent, and we can go over those options. But the dental practice manager at the moment is with the Institute of Leadership and Management. So that's one course that our dental practice managers take on because they want to learn more about the finance, profit, loss. They want to know about HR, recruitment, selection. Marketing is a big one. They love marketing, they want to know how they can advance and take their practice and keep them ahead of the curve. We do the old pestle analysis and SWOT analysis within that. And the biggest thing that they want to try and achieve from the end of that qualification is that Institute of Leadership and Management level 4 certificate that we've embedded, which will go over everything, all things leadership at level 4. So it is a big course, to be fair. It's an 18-month apprenticeship program, and as it is an apprenticeship, you will have to dedicate 6 hours a week towards this training. Now, I think I've opened a beast here, because actually, Lisa, when you talk about off-job training hours, this is the biggest. Oh no, not sure if that's for me actually. But the truth behind the off-job training hours is an encompassment of things. It's not just all the study time you're putting in, all the workshops you do with us, though those two things are part of it. It's actually also it's also the work that you do that's relative to your apprenticeship without you even knowing. So things like one-to-ones, appraisals, new CPD that you might be doing. It could be that you've had a meeting and you've learned so much about strategy or something that you want to put it into your off-job training hours. So there are a whole host of things that can be included. But the usual weight is more toward the assignments that you'll be doing and the workshops you'll be attending. But the program itself is broken down very manageably. So they sort of give you like an assignment a month for 12 months, and the rest of it is kind of you preparing your portfolio and everything else. So it's carefully designed to make sure that nobody feels inundated. How do our practice managers do this at the moment? We've got some groups that sort of say, well, actually, you know what, they're benefiting from doing an hour and a half a day. That's how they're managing it. We've got others that block it all at the end of the month. And we've got others that just want to take a day towards their training every week. So that sort of works quite well. I think we might have just lost Lisa there, because I do know she's working from a hotel at the moment and struggling with connection. But in terms of other things there that we can that we can support practice managers with, of course, is the hiring recruitment that we talked about earlier. So anybody who's joined us in a bit later, it's the fact that we do have a huge talent pool here at Tempdent. We can support the whole recruitment for a new trainee dental nurse under the apprenticeship, and that is complimentary. There is no charge for it. It's us getting these wonderful applicants into work. And then, of course, you also have the funding available for the apprenticeship program. So there's loads of support there for your site. And of course, the post-registration courses. If a dental practice manager is clinical, so if you do have a clinical background, you may want to develop on the oral health practitioner apprenticeship yourself, so that you've got those skill sets and provide that senior dental nurse skill set to the practice. It could be that you wish to go on to the fluoride varnish or the orthodontic nursing. So there are quite a few different types of courses for you to be able to advance your skills, whether it was clinical or non-clinical. Welcome back, Lisa. Oh, yeah, you've got your mute button.
It just kicked me out. I was like, what did
Yeah.
I say? I'm sorry, guys. I am.
Yeah, I carried on through. We were just talking about the dental practice manager. I did say I thought it might be your internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just talking about the courses sort of available to dental practice managers, because of course you will have some who have a clinical background and some who have a non-clinical background. Yeah, so if you had a clinical background, naturally you'd be able to access all the orthodont, the post-registration courses and the oral health practitioner. And if not, you've got other things to look at as well there, which is that dental practice manager apprenticeship. And of course, with other training providers as well, because we're very dental and dental only, you have options for other apprenticeships. It could be just like a straightforward management qualification, or HR, or recruitment. There are so many apprenticeships out there to develop and support you. Absolutely.
I think that's the thing. It's like they've always been there, but I do feel that there's like a real comeback at the moment, and it's like us managers and owners and practices are kind of going, do you know what? Actually, let's revisit this, because it's such a good thing on so many levels. And particularly with the nurses now, it's been announced by the GDC that the nurses particularly have to access the training a lot sooner again now. That's a very recent thing, isn't it?
Within that year. So previously they sort of gave that window to say, right, you can get onto that training within 2 years, and now they've closed that on to say, right, okay, actually you need to be upskilled within that year. So we've had a huge influx, of course, of trainee dental nurses who haven't been on the courses yet. So we've had all that coming, yes. And then of course we've got the new contract changes that are coming in play now, and the whole CPD side of it, and the development side for dental nurses coming into place as part of that contract as well, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, no, massively. And I think looking at looking at this from, we can't talk about everything else without mentioning, the CQC side of things, the well-led, effective side of things in practices is massive. So making sure that we are leading our team and investing in their training it's a massive tick on that score as
Yes.
well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And then, of course, I mean, the benefits can be seen straight away by the practice anyway. So when with these little changes coming into place and the support, that comes back in from that the development of those training dental nurses. Actually, you see it straight away. You do see that.
I love it. And what we do get sometimes is we do have practices who want to take on apprentices, and they have got the age-old, the nurses that are more experienced, maybe, well, am I going to have to do it?
Yeah,
Am I going to have to do it?
yeah,
And we
yeah,
get that, and what I would say to those practices is, you know, use that as an opportunity, try and recognize it a little bit. If we're making all these savings, make it so it's worthwhile to those people that are
yeah,
doing the training. Um, it doesn't have to be monetary. I've found in a lot of practices,
yes,
it can
yes.
be,
Agreed.
and we are going to give you an extra week's holiday for training in recognition of training and putting the work in for that apprentice.
Yeah, it's giving them something back to try and achieve and support them to do. I think the beauty that you do have is that I mean most dental nurses, sort of looking to train want that qualification because they love what they do. Where you do have somebody who's a bit apprehensive because they've done it their way and then they're probably choosing the national diploma over the apprenticeship. I think that's an education piece. And this is where you want to use your training provider to do this bit for you. So as a practice manager, try not to take that weight on yourself. I think it's really easy and I see it all the time. I honestly do. I see practice managers trying to take the weight of recruitment. I see them trying to take the weight of supporting a trainee. Then they have somebody who wants to be self-funded on a national diploma, and then they take the weight of all the witness testimonials and everything else. And that is a huge bit of pressure for practice managers. What we always say is use your training provider to do that for you. If they are on an apprenticeship, we do the tutoring, we do the assessments, we do everything. We just simply come and meet with you online or wherever it is every 10 to 12 weeks and do that progress review so that you get to see where this trainee is. And furthermore, we can do the education piece on whether the national diploma is right for them or the apprenticeship is right for them. They don't need to have that and make that decision alone or with you. We can check if they're eligible for an apprenticeship. Okay, so that's number one, because actually, if they're not eligible for the apprenticeship, then actually the national diploma is the right route. So try and lean on your training provider to do this bit for you as much as you can. And if you're dissatisfied with any part of any process, you should be able to go straight back to your training provider to get that corrected and sorted. Okay, because this is what we are here for. We're here to provide that recruitment piece for you so that you don't have to go anywhere else and pay loads of money for Indeed adverts. We're here to do that for you. We're here to do the training and the additional support. So one thing I did want to say, Lisa, is Tempdent, we offer mentorship training. And we have 6 webinars that are planned this year. So I'll share that schedule with you and I'll send that over, because we do free CPD sessions and we do information sessions and things like that, which actually practices would really benefit from. If you're taking on an apprentice for the first time and you're not sure and you want that extra mentorship training, you could come on to one of our 1-hour webinars, where you're actually being upskilled and we're giving you this CPD, we'll get you that certificate. To say that actually, to try and support you with those key competencies of a young apprentice joining you. Again, they can be at any age, but I know that this is where most practice managers get worried. It's like, oh, we've never had a young one before. So we kind of support you in that mentorship, and the more generic mentorship for any age apprentice as well. So all of that is with us. If ADAM ever wanted their own 1-hour CPD session for leadership sort of mentorship, I would bring a key tutor on here, Lisa, just to let you know we could deliver that to all your practices as a free CPD session from Tempdent, and we'll certificate out and everything. Yeah.
I think that'd be really, really helpful because, whilst you can have a very, very experienced nurse, but actually teaching somebody else can be quite difficult. And we all
Yeah.
want to add to the success of that
Yeah.
apprentice journey and the integration into the practice, really, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think, people underestimate what an apprentice can bring. Yes, there is a little bit of effort needed by the practice, but there's certainly the backup there from Tempdent to actually really help you navigate through that, isn't it? And if
Yes.
it's like you are kind of an extension of the team
Mm.
that are helping to bring that person where they need to be. And what you end up with is a fresh person that is trained in the way
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you want them.
1,000%. And we don't just send them to you, before they come out to you, we've done that screening, we've done that vetting, and we've done all the chats about the uglies about a dental nurse. I mean, let's not beat around the bush, there's a lot to being a dental nurse that sometimes somebody coming in for the first time in this sector doesn't actually understand or comprehend. So we do talk to them about blood. We do talk to them about cutting nails. We do talk to them about things like this because, I mean, of course, we do have a lot of young girls who love to grow their nails quite long. And I remember one apprentice coming in saying, I didn't realise that she was going to make me, that I had to take them off. And she loved her fake nails so much. And she said, I don't know if I can do it. And in the end, she decided that the dental nursing pathway was actually something she did want to stick to. And she got rid of her fake nails, which she said she's never done before. But that could have quite easily have gone the other way. She might have turned around and said, well, actually, my fake nails mean the world to me. So, I don't want to be a dental nurse. It's not for me. And that, again, it comes back down to that protection period, that start period, that foundation induction program that we do. That protection period for an employer to really find out if this person's right for them, but also vice versa, this apprentice to find out if dental nursing is for them, is paramount. Because once that happens and they start the apprenticeship, you know that you are investing your time into the right person.
And that makes that, from a practice manager point of view, we all know that we any recruits that we make, whether it's an apprentice or anybody else, there's always that pressure of who we're bringing into the team.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, we're not, people don't have labels on their head. People don't, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We do our best to work out whether, I mean, I even do almost like a bit of profiling, and personality profiling, is the D type of person, is it, how are they going to fit with the other personalities I've got in my team, and you've got to, because you do, it can make or break teams sometimes.
Is that the gorilla test where you test for the personalities, isn't it? Where you
kind of, yeah. I mean, you kind of don't admit that you do it on them. You kind of just do it to them. But it's so important that, I always use birds as examples, eagles, doves, owls, or parrots. I find it a little bit easier. And I'm there going, oh, is this an eagle or a parrot? Because I've got a lot of eagles already. So that might be a little bit of a clash. And it's because you can get it wrong, and you do feel very responsible. I've had, over my 30 years, where I've made a recruited somebody, and after a few weeks, I'm going, oh, don't think this is kind of working. And the rest of the team are going, oh my gosh, what have you inflicted on us? And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, but they seemed great. And obviously they're not. So, don't underestimate that. Screening is there for the person that for the apprentice, and that's wonderful, but it is also that protection for the practice and our reputation as practice managers as well.
No, I totally appreciate that. It's important, isn't it? It's really important. And as well as, that person coming in and them seeing if it's for them, of course, your whole team need to know if this person's going to fit in and work well. So we very usually, when an apprentice comes in, we offer trials. So a lot of our practice apprentices actually take on a trial before they do a job offer. And then they do the job offer, and then the person starts the foundation induction, and then they go on to the apprenticeship. So it just seems like a sort of win-win. What we haven't actually discussed is the off-job training hours for the dental nurse, actually, Lisa. And I think that's probably a good thing to talk about, because it has changed. So where the oral health practitioner requires 6 hours off job training, but bear in mind the oral health practitioner is a very practical apprenticeship, and most of those hours is actually the observations of them working inside a person's mouth, so it's everything that they're doing. And the dental practice manager is around 6 or 7 hours, but that is academic. The dental nurse is a little bit different. The new product that Tempdent have built has actually meant that we could drop the off-job training hours down to 4 hours and 20 minutes a week. And that does include the workshop that they're doing, and it does include the assignments that they're doing, as well as appraisal supervisions, any self-reflection pieces that they're doing, anything new, CPD or anything like that that's new and relative towards the course. That's all included. The only time a learner might have to do more than 4.2 hours a week is if they've got additional learning support needs. Now, if that has been identified, and we as a training provider do all of that for you, so before a learner starts with us officially, we take all their details. We first of all check their eligibility. If they are under 19, we also check their English and maths, because anybody over 19, it doesn't matter whether they've got English and maths or not, they can do any apprenticeship now, so long as they can read and write to a certain level on English. But if they're under 19, they have to do the English and maths if they don't already have it. So Tempdent's talent pool is mostly of those who have got exemptions, mostly of those who have got English and maths. But sometimes we might have a great spark, and, you know, she or he might have English but not have maths. If you decided to take somebody on like that, you would have to give them additional time a week, 1.5 hours, for the one area that they need to study. So that could be the maths, but that's only 15 weeks throughout the apprenticeship, not for the whole way. So the 4.2 hours is something that we have to give to our apprentices to make sure they've got that protected time per week. But again, with those flexibilities, but the only time it would be more is if they need those additional support needs. So as well as English and maths, it could be that they need additional support for dyslexia, or, you know, they've put down that they're autistic, or we've had ADHD categories, and we change our methodology of learning. So Tempdent is probably the only training provider that creates a bespoke program for a learner. And we do that on some very clever tools. So we use Cognosist, and we use 4D. Now, this is really getting a deeper picture of how this learner learns. And from there, what we do is we map out the key barriers of their learning, and then we build suitable products. So it could be that somebody has to do a lot of things on audio. Okay. And that is how, again, we get our apprentices to achieve successfully. I think there is one very important thing I should say. I just thought about this actually, is consider the training provider carefully when you are taking on trainees, because Tempdent have had a lot of students who have come to us who have not been able to achieve their apprenticeship within the 18 months. They've actually gone on to 2 years, 3 years, and it is because they have needed ALS, additional learning support needs, or they have needed extra support and they have not got it. So you need to ensure that your training provider has the right infrastructure to support the learner, the right setup to ensure that the learner doesn't miss those days of learning that they need to make sure they achieve on time. Because again, the reason we're doing this is to ensure that we have a qualified dental nurse at the end. What we don't want is a trainee to be on programme for about 3 years.
A 60-year-old trainee that's been on it.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen.
No, and you know what? It's the right thing. I've actually got three nurses now that have needed additional learning.
Yes, yes.
And you know what? They're three of my best. So
yes,
you just know sometimes, like you say, that spark. Don't disregard, because with the support, you can actually still get where you need them to be.
So much.
Yeah.
Do you know, Lisa, you've hit something. You've reminded me of something actually. We did an internal training session here at Tempdent, and it was about sort of like the characteristics of ADHD, autism, and whatever else. And it was all the positive traits of each of these categories and OCD and things like that. Just the focus only on the positive and the benefits that our practice have seen with these learners coming in. So she put in and one of her slides, and I say her, this is a lady from our SLT team who works in on the customer success side. She shared a slide on a success story of this particular learner had severe needs of ADHD. Very, she really struggled to focus on her assignments, but actually she brought in some huge ideas for the practice, huge innovative ways of working, and this whole piece was about her, which she wanted us to share, and she was happy for it to be part of the training. It was just so delightful to see. So whilst she might have struggled a little bit on the learning aspect because she found it hard to focus, Tempdent had to do that. We did that. We made sure that she was able to focus because we started to do things more visually. We started to find different ways to get her to learn and do things. But actually, the practice benefited wholly. She put new processes, new procedures in place to make things go faster because she saw things a whole way different.
Yeah.
So that there are so many benefits, definitely,
No, and
for the additional learning support.
and it feels good. It actually feels really good as well,
It
to
does.
see. And you
Yeah,
are right. This is about people thinking differently. And if we were all the same, it would be absolutely boring.
yeah,
And that perspective, it's very, quite like you say with the AG, quite often very creative minds, excited and enthusiastic minds, which, you know, it's great. And it's
yeah.
with the support, it can be a really nice addition to your team.
No, I agree.
So
I agree.
gosh, Jazz, we could talk
Oh,
forever.
yes. We could, couldn't
You're
we?
kind
We
of coming
could.
in.
We could talk for things and
I
friendships.
always like just finish a few minutes earlier just to give people a chance if they've got to get
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to their posts, so to
Amazing.
speak. So what would be the first step, if anybody wanted to
Yeah.
talk more to
So
you?
they can reach out to me directly, 100%. So I have a big team my side. So I think you'll be sharing contact details, won't you, Lisa, your side to your to the participants who wanted to be part of this. And if anybody wants to have that direct discussion, just give me a call. And to be honest, we normally have meetings. So I know that we've done all of this, but we want to know more about you, more about the needs of your practice, and then we'll carefully align and try and fit things in where they need to be. So we will work with you on sort of like, a one-to-one basis. So just reach out. Very usually, if somebody wanted to go straight through for an expression of interest, we have links, Lisa. So we've got registration links, which I believe Sam has. So you can get those out to your delegates and members, of course. And if they want to sign up to anything, they're more than welcome to use those links for a direct sign up. And because they are members of ADAM, I am supporting levy donors, so I'm trying my very best to make sure that we cover, sort of and support financially for the ADAM members, as well as that if members from your group wish to go on to the post-registration courses, we have put a 7% discount on the actual course cost there for the team. We are also offering ADAM members a free CPD subscription to our platform, which, by the way, we've been told is everything that Agilio is. By the way, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's 160 hours of CPD, and it's got a whole brand new Netflix feel to it. And at the moment, actually, Denplan are launching this out their side as well. So it's quite a big, yeah. So we've had this platform for a very, very long time, and most of our clients use it. But a free CPD subscription as well. Just trying to think if there was anything else that we offered to the members from ADAM. It would be that webinar as well for mentorship. So we're here to support.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, no, Jazz, we genuinely do really love you guys, and no,
Oh, thanks, Lisa.
I
love you
visit lots of
guys.
practices around the UK. I
Yeah.
visit lots of practices around the UK, and you know, I wouldn't hesitate to genuinely recommend you. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
was in a practice this week, and they were like, I heard somebody go, I can't remember the exact name, and it was like, oh, better ring Tempdent.
Yeah.
And it's just that integration into the practices and teams that you are their go-to person. Um,
Yeah,
and that's a really nice relationship. I know
it
that
is.
you go the extra mile to make sure that you look after the practices and the
Oh, 1,000%. And we expect nothing less. The Tempdent team love what they do. But and this was actually the other thing I was going to say is, look, it might be that you don't have any imminent needs, but you need support with something, or you've got a question about something. It could be that you've got a current apprentice with another provider that you want some guidance on because you can't get through to your own provider. Whatever it is, just reach out. We're here to help. But yeah, and thank you so much for hearing me waffle on for the last
no, no,
hour.
no. No, it's great. I mean, it's something that every practice needs to know about, and I do commend the service that you do provide for people. So, um,
Thanks so
not
much.
all apprenticeship providers are the same. You are the marks and you are the marks and Oh,
Oh,
thank you, Jazz. It's honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully, our listeners have found most of that really helpful.
thank
Um,
you.
and the contact details will be going out to everybody in information. And we appreciate your supporting
Yes,
practice managers because
so welcome.
um,
Yeah,
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 it does mean the world to us to know that you actually partner with us and that we can do things that help you as well. So it's
yeah.
fantastic.
No,
Thank
okay.
you for joining
Thanks so
us.
much,
You're
guys. Thank you,
welcome.
everybody. See you
Thanks,
soon.
guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.